it's Michelle from the Scattered Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. Today is the last day of my Killikit for November. And today I'm going to be scrapbooking this picture of my daughter on her very first day at horseback riding lessons. And I have two more pictures that I'm going to put with it, but they have her best friend in them, and I don't have permission to have her on the video, so I'm just going to use these as stand-ins. I'm also going to be using some stamps, and I have a title picked out. I've got some ink that I'm going to ink my edges with, and I have tons and tons of scraps that I have picked out from my scraps from working with this kit for the past 2 months. So let's get started. First, I hope that everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And second, I want to apologize for this video not coming out on Sunday. I got a cold and I pretty much lost my voice, or it was really scratchy and hoarse sounding, and wouldn't have really sounded very well on a voiceover. So, and I'm hoping that my voice sounds okay right now. So it's still a little raw, but I'm making it. It's just a cold, so it'll be over and done with soon. What I'm doing right now is cutting some papers for my background, and I'm using this yellow basil cardstock and some strips that I've cut from some of my scraps from my kit that I'm using. And what I'm doing is following along with Shimelle's, what does she call it? Where Best of Both Worlds. So she has a video series called Best of Both Worlds, where she puts together a bunch of different items from different collections, and then I think twice a week has a video out where she uses all of her products in layouts. And I saw this one that she did and just absolutely loved it. So I thought for my last big layout for this kit, I would follow along with her video. And so what I'm doing now is just popping up this little section. And who in the world knows why I chose to use the wide foam strips and the skinny foam strip. I have no idea. But I like these two patterns together, this little floral and the pink plaid. And I think in her video she just had one pattern paper there, but I like the combination of these two, so I chose to put the two together. And then as I am inking these edges, I get a little piece that I don't know if it broke off. This is a brand new little foam thingy, so I don't know. It got on my yellow cardstock, and I tried to wipe it off. I'm like, oh, I'll just flip it over. It'll be fine. I'll turn it around and cover it up with that. So here I'm just going to go ahead and ink these edges. And I had not decided if I wanted to ink this one before I put them together. So the flowered paper is just not going to be covered. It's not going to have that one edge inked. It'll just have to be uninked, because I'm not going to try and pull them apart. So here I have these little elements on the side, like Shimelle did, and I was planning on using my photos in the sizes that they are, but because I am measurement challenged, when I put my picture down on the top, I realized that, whoa, this picture is too big. It's going to cover up all these little elements, so I need to do some trimming. And this picture here of my daughter, she's got the horse groomed and getting ready to go out and ride for her very first riding lesson. And she had gotten riding lessons for Christmas before this happened. So this was happening, I think in like the first week of December last year, but we had given her riding lessons for Christmas the Christmas before. So it was almost a year before she could actually go do the horseback riding lesson. She had to have some minor surgery on her leg before she could go to do this. And it was scheduled earlier in the year, but it was 2020. So, of course, COVID kind of put a pause to that. But then finally she was able to get the surgery that she needed and was healed and ready to have her horseback riding lessons. And so this was a very happy day that she finally got to do her Christmas present. She had to wait almost a year for. Oh, poor baby. But she's having a great time, and she just loves to go and ride the horses, and it's been a wonderful experience for her. So here I'm trying to figure out what my matting is going to be. And so I'm doubling and making sure that my measurements are correct and making sure that my paper is facing in the direction that I need it to be. And I'm constantly checking to see if my pictures will fit. Now these white mats that I have out to kind of stand in for the two photos that I can't really show, I have gone ahead, I've gone ahead and cut them down to the correct mat size that I'm going to need them. So when I get finished with my layout, I can just plop those pictures on there and it'll be done. And here I'm trying to decide which papers do I want to use and how do I want to make this green one work, because it's shorter than my pictures are wide. So I'm just kind of having some little fits here with measurements. Oh my goodness. But I do decide that I'm going to use the green for my base. I love the way that the picture of her with the horse looks on top of the green. So I'm going to have that first, and then I'm going to use this floral for my next layer. And then I'm desperate to use this blue. I love this blue as my last layer. She has on a blue shirt, and there's the little bit of blue in the floral paper. So I really want to bring in some more of the blue. But it's just not, since I had used it to punch out some things before, it's just not big enough, and it's not quite right. So I think, well, maybe I'll use this orange one, but I don't really like the orange. I mean, it's fine, but it's just not what I want. But I remember I have the 6x8 pad, and I was like, oh, maybe there's still one more of those blue papers in there. And there was. I was so excited that there was a full sheet of that blue paper, because I really didn't want to use the full sheet from the 12x12. The color was right, but the dots were too big, and plus it was still a full sheet, and I think I have just a few full sheet papers left. I don't know why I'm saving them. I need to be using them, but I was saving it anyway. So here I've gone ahead and inked all around my layers. Now the floral, I'm putting it on top of the blue normal, just like you would just putting a photo mat down. But for the green one, I shift it all the way over to the right to make sure that I have enough green to see behind the picture of my daughter with the horse. And then it's going to pretty much be covered up completely on the left-hand side, but that's okay. I've got the floral that's over there and the blue. So it's all good, at least to me. And then I am looking to see where I need to put some foam, since my I don't know how big that is. I do know it's 12 inches tall, and it might be 4 inches wide, maybe. that element that's putting down on the left hand side, I have to accommodate it being lifted up, so I had to put some foam behind my picture so it wouldn't sink down. And here I'm trying to figure out where I want to put my little square elements. But I'm going to go ahead and attach my photo mat to my big element here. And I think, okay, I'm ready to put it down. But then I remember, no, I want to do some stamping, because in Shimelle's video, she does some stamping. And there I remembered. So I'm going to get my little pieces back and stick them back on the foam so that I don't end up accidentally gluing it down, because this foam, it came from the dollar store. But guys, this stuff is sticky. So I've got to cover it up or it will get stuck down and will not move. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get this little cluster down here. And I kind of fiddle with it. I'm not really sure what I wanted to use. I can't talk, sorry. I do like the flowers. So I'm going to kind of figure those on where and how I want to get those situated. And then I'm going to use that pencil to lightly sketch around what I've done so that I will know how to place my stamps when it comes to that. So first I'm going to go ahead and get my title out so I can kind of see where it needs to go, because I don't know if I'm going to end up kind of nestling it up there up underneath my picture. But it's too tall. It's not really going to fit right there. And then once I do my stamping, it wouldn't have looked right there anyway. So it pretty much stays in this block shape. But I am going to put it up pretty much like right there. Because I figure out, it's too tall. It's not going to fit in that little open space underneath my photo. So it's not going to nestle around this little cluster that I'm building here. But I needed to know where I had planned for it to be so that I could adjust my stamping accordingly. And it's almost like there was no point in me doing this. And you'll see why in just a minute. I try to pick these things up like I had them so that I can remember how to put everything back together again. But that doesn't work. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here, this is the stamp that I'm going to use, these little florals. And in this application is when I really, 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 really wish that I had something like a Misty. Because while this is a really great tool, it's really kind of too small. And while I'm priming my stamp here, I can tell you that I don't know what happened. Somehow my paper got shifted or something, because when I make my second stamp, because part of this stamp doesn't have a clear image to it, somehow or other for my second stamping, it got shifted. And so my second print, because you could see there, that little leaf on the right hand side in the middle, it did not have a clear print. So I go in for a second print and it's just slightly off. So you end up with that as like a shadowed image. And I was kind of disappointed in that. But, I mean, most of it's going to get covered up anyway. But still, you're trying to do it all correctly and everything. And it ends up not being right. Like, that's the whole reason to have stamping platforms, right? So I was kind of irritated. But we persevere on and keep going. It's fine. No one's really going to care. They're not going to look through your album and be like, oh, she didn't get that lined up right. Yeah, nobody's going to care. They're going to be looking at the pictures, and that's really the point, isn't it? And here I got a good clear stamping of that second one, and I didn't do it again, and I should have, because the one on the bottom is darker. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, this is my first time. That's what I'm gonna claim. It's my first time doing this kind of a technique. So, and this one up here kind of it's slightly off, but not as bad as the one at the bottom. So I'm just not worried about it anymore. It's kind of like when you get a new car and you baby it and are so worried until it finally gets that first scratch, and then you just don't care anymore. You don't care if it gets hit by a buggy or not. Okay, so here I'm trying to put my cluster back like I had it. I'm looking at my lines that I drew, and I can't remember what flower went where. I've probably switched up these flowers. I didn't even see even as I'm watching this what I did. But the lines that I drew don't really match up with the items that I have. And I'm like, what? How does this go back together again? I think I finally just give up and just put them where they are. Just stick them how they look good to me, even though I can't get them back into the pencil lines that I made. Oh goodness, y'all. I really had so much fun with putting this together. But whew, and here I have made a mistake. Now I'm taping these down, right? But I don't have my picture and that big left-hand side element. What I should have done was put it down and then start placing these things underneath it, because I want it to look like the little square elements are tucked up underneath it. And where I'm placing them at right now, even though I'm following my pencil marks, well, first of all, my little outlined pencil marks were not right along the edges of my items. So there was like a little space, but I'm placing them right over top of those pencil marks. So they're too far to the right. So when I put down this, I noticed, you can see all four edges, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted them to look like they were tucked under. So I have to struggle and pick up everything and move everything over to the left. And I'm just getting that one up there. And here I'm looking to see, well, maybe it'll work anyway. But when I pick it up, it's very obvious that nope, nothing looks tucked under. So here I'm going to pull this up and struggle, because everything has to move over. I should have put my picture where it's supposed to go and have everything in place and then glue everything down. But it's okay. We get it in the end. Not too much shifting. And nothing really tore. That square with blessed on it was wanting to, but I nipped that in the bud. And I kept it from tearing up when I couldn't use it. So here I'm just using a white Staedtler eraser to erase my lines. And now I'm going to put this down. And it is a little bit off, but not enough for me to care about it. I mean, it's not quite that, it's not noticeable that it's not quite lined up right, unless you flip it over on the back and then you can see that it hangs off the yellow a little bit. And I really don't notice it until I flip it over here to trim my little squares. And that's when I notice that right there you can see all the way across. But I'm not going to trim it. I'm just going to leave it like it is. Because like I say, from this side, you don't really notice it. So I'm not worried about it. All right, it's almost done. I'm going to put my title down. And then I'm going to do a little bit of journaling underneath it. And here I was looking to see if it would still kind of fit, and do I want it higher? Do I want it lower? But I do want to make sure I have room underneath the title for my journaling. So I do go ahead and keep it up a little bit. And I'm going to make sure those are all nice. And I don't even worry about them being straight, because this is such a kind of a whimsical layout. I actually like that the letters aren't exactly straight. And now I'm looking, I just tapped on it a second ago, the label or the little tag that I have in there. It's this wide open blank space. So while I'm putting my enamel dots down, and I'm following exactly how Shimelle was talking about putting her confetti on, you put the larger enamel dot closest to the photo, and then kind of work your way out in a triangular shape from the photos with the smaller sizes. So I'm just following her instructions in her video. And I'm looking at this tab and I'm like, what am I going to do with this wide open white blank space? I got to fill this in with something. So I'm trying these flowers and that could work, but I'm like, no, that's too much. So then I'm thinking, oh, there's some boots on this sticker sheet. That could work because she has boots on and you need boots when you go riding, but they're a little too big, so I didn't really like them there. Kind of overpowered what else I had on in my cluster. So I decided, well, I could use some word stickers. So I tried these. This one says, "Hey pumpkin," and then I tried this other one that I can't tell what it says. But I don't like how it's, you know, on that gray square with the little fox, and I didn't like how some things got covered up. So instead I decided to just put "Hey pumpkin" on there. So I cut it in, well, not in half, but I just cut the hay off and the pumpkin off so that I can fill up the space. And then I see this little blue heart and I'm like, oh, I can bring more blue in. So I put the little blue heart in there, and now I'm like, well, now I've got a heart. So I need some more hearts. So I looked through my die cuts for the little hearts that were in there, and now I'm trying to figure out how am I going to put these hearts in there so that it looks like they were meant to be there the whole time. So I'm looking and shifting and picking, and I'll finally find it a home. I'm going to put it just kind of in between hay and pumpkin on the left hand side, because that join right there that I'm covering up was kind of bothering me. So I'm glad I have these little hearts so I can put it right over the join. And really, this is pretty much going to do it, except for I'm going to use some Heidi Swap gold shimmer stuff here in just a second. I'm going to pull out my pizza box and stick it in there. And then that is really going to do it for this layout. I hope y'all have enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed the Killikit Sunday series that I've been doing. I will probably not do one in December because I'm doing my Christmas gift project, and I'm going to be doing the Journal Your Christmas with Shimelle and her Journal Your Christmas class. Journal Your Christmas class, yes. And I will be hopefully posting videos of those as much as I can. We have a lot of things planned for December, so we'll see how it goes. But I hope everyone, again, had a wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful November, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!